8.5 million people worldwide live with Parkinson's disease. Every 3 seconds, someone develops dementia. Nearly 1 in 6 of the world's population suffers from neurological disorders. And these numbers will continue to rise if we don't do something about it. If this information doesn't reach more people, because we have the power to turn this around, and it starts in our guts. Through centuries, there's been a basic understanding of the digestive tract's influence on human behavior, which our ancestors likely observed. However, around the 17th and 18th centuries, we see more efforts focused on this gut-brain connection as physicians took a constitutional and holistic approach. In 1765, Robert Witt, a Scottish physician, found that the gut had a network of nerve endings and coined the term nervous sympathy to describe these findings. In the 19th century, a London-based doctor named John Abernathy took this idea further, publishing several books highlighting the gut and brain connection linked to our nervous system. Before the 19th century, indigestion and digestive disorders were seen as a sign of wealth, connecting the food consumed to increasing digestive complaints. However, by the 1840s, digestive disorders were rapidly increasing in every demographic and even referred to as a national disease. Around the same time, Dr. William Beaumont, who's known as the father of gastroenterology, found through his studies on the digestion of food that emotions affect digestion. Perhaps most notably, in 1904, physiologist Ivan Pavlov demonstrated the first gut-brain interaction through the cephalic phase of digestion, which is the release of gastric and pancreatic secretions in response to sensory signals. Things took a reductionist turn by the 19th and 20th centuries when physicians focused on localized studies of the gut rather than looking at the body as a whole. However, many folks like Franz Alexander, who was a founder of psychosomatic medicine, continued to push psychological science connecting the brain and the gut. Today, through a blending of somatic, laboratory, and psychological scientific approaches, we understand just how closely the brain and the gut really are. With this understanding, we have the opportunity to change the future of our neurological and cognitive health. We've all felt this gut-brain communication, whether we realize it or not. Butterflies in our stomachs, gut-wrenching news, and the loss of appetite when you're sad. These are all examples of the brain communicating with the gut and the gut communicating with the brain. We can no longer look at just one system in the body because they're all interconnected. The gut and the brain are like best friends who text each other all day long in what is called bidirectional communication. They talk so much that more information goes from your brain and gut than any other body system. This communication is made possible in a few different ways. First, the vagus nerve, which links your enteric nervous system or the neural network in your GI tract with your brain. The neural network in your gut contains between 200 and 600 million neurons. These are more neurons than those in your spinal cord. And it's no wonder that the gut is called our second brain. Secondly, hormones produced in the gut send signals to the brain like ghrelin, which is called the hunger hormone because it tells your brain it's hungry. Third, and most fascinating, the gut microbiome plays a huge role in the communication. We have trillions of microorganisms found in our guts that regulate our mood, our memory, and disease susceptibility. And the gut microbiome, well, it helps to produce neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. In fact, 90% of our body's serotonin, which is essential for mood regulation, well, it's produced in the gut. Because we know that our gut interacts with the brain through these neurotransmitters, this also means that our gut health can make mood disorders like anxiety and depression better, or perhaps even worse, depending on the health of our microbiome. A team from Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine set out to see if there was evidence to support the improvement of anxiety symptoms by regulating intestinal microbiomes. They looked at 21 studies that included 1,503 people. 11 of the 21 studies showed a positive effect on anxiety symptoms by regulating intestinal microbiome. through taking probiotics and dietary changes, meaning that more than half of the studies showed that this approach to be effective. We also know that increased levels of systemic inflammation due to an imbalance of gut microbiome are linked to a heightened risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Chronic inflammation can really accelerate the progression of disorders like Alzheimer's, with research suggesting that inflammatory markers are up to 50% higher in patients with cognitive decline. In yet another study from the Journal of Neuroinflammation, increased gut-derived inflammation can accelerate amyloid deposition in the brain, a key feature of Alzheimer's pathology. The study highlights that inflammatory cytokines from the gut can exacerbate brain inflammation and amyloidosis, suggesting controlling gut health could slow Alzheimer's progression. As our food quality declines, cognitive and digestive disorders increase. As I mentioned, in the mid-19th century, digestive disorders were thought to be a disease of the wealthy, but as food processing technology was developed, these disorders became even more common. Today, studies like the recent one from the American Academy of Neurology show us that people who eat more ultra-processed foods have a higher risk of stroke and cognitive impairment. Additionally, highly processed foods change the gut microbiome, leading to digestive disorders like IBS. Another piece of the puzzle that I find interesting is the rate of autism that's increased from 3 per 10,000 in the 1970s to more than 30 per 10,000 in the 1990s. Around the same time, ultra-processed foods took hold. Though not fully understood, studies support the idea that autism and neuroinflammation in early childhood are really linked. Other things that can negatively impact your gut microbiome and in turn impact brain health are alcohol consumption, medications, and even stress. Avoiding highly processed foods like refined carbs, sugary drinks, and fast foods, and making healthy lifestyle changes like managing stress and reducing alcohol intake can all make for a happy and healthy gut and brain. We've only touched the surface of how important gut health is to brain health, but you can join my free webinar to access more of the latest science and steps you can take to heal your gut and save your brain by checking the description below.